Greetings. I'm going to give you a nice walkthrough here about how to take an ad that has been proofed out and approved in AdPortalWalk and tie it into the Creative Manager system. Creative Manager is the Pointroll specific utility that allows you to access the AdPortal database in a much more easy to use interface. The AdPortal interface does tie directly into the same backend that Creative Manager does, but the steps to actually get files into the system is much more simple through the Creative Manager process. I'm going to go ahead and get the files out of AdTracker. So first, I'm going to export this rich media ad as soon as it stops spinning. So I'm going to export everything to the desktop. So now I have a folder with the content. Now I want to verify that this actually functions the way it's intended. So I'm going to check out the proof by previewing it in the browser. Chrome is my preferred one. If you use Safari, you should upgrade to something recent. So looking at this, that comes in, that plays, collapses and fades out to February 1st, game on, Bud Light Night. The rollover interaction is there, and we should be good to go. So these images are loaded, promo is there. If you wanted to, you can look through the images, scrolling left and right. It is set up so that if I have a rollover interaction, I roll out and it triggers it to collapse. You should also always have a close button present just in case. Be sure that when you are building the creative that the close button does not overlap the roll area, because if I had it right here, I'd close it, but then it would automatically just continue to expand. You'd be forever looping through the two, and that's just bad design. So, assuming I have the creative all good to go, I've actually got a proof handy that will tell me that I need to merely just generate the tags. Because a file was already generated, a functional proof link was already generated, I already have the components in the system to convert it to a tag. So what I need to do that is to browse down to wherever it is in the system, and it is Buccaneers Hockey, and I put it under the Changing Copy campaign. The way that you want to think of this is you have a agency, we are the GIADC agency, you have a client, and then you have campaigns under each client. The campaign is the scope. The scope is the container within which we put the creative files. So if I click continue on that after selecting it, what I'm going to see are a whole bunch of individual components. So now that I've got the start and end date and the expected impressions, I want to go to my creative tab. You can see here I have everything listed in AdPortal as I do in Creative Manager, but I have additional options. You can view, see the details, copy, remake the creative if you needed to change. It's much easier to do in Creative Manager. You can edit it, you can edit the variables and labels. You can see a demo. If you needed to make a demo link to send to somebody, just click that, make a demo page, and then there you go. Easy as that. But what I need to do right off the bat is you can see how this purpose is set as working demo. That's problematic because the traffic tab, when you go to generate a tag, which oddly enough is under placements, you make a placement for the Buccaneers Hockey. If I did this, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through the steps, and I go to assign creatives to it, you'll see that there is no February 1st creative listed in this drop-down menu. The reason being, placements, when you generate one, they only look for production assets, meaning if something has been set to production and then you go ahead and try to, to change the creative purpose, I want to go down to this drop-down menu at the bottom, say change creative purpose, production. Okay, yes, okay. And then you see that the status changes to production. Now, it's very important to remember anytime you're working within a rich media advertisement to be very explicit on which portions do what. You'll see that I have 3 different components here. I have the GIF/JPEG, which you would think of as the static default. I have the expandable ad unit, and I have a pre-expandable ad unit. A pre-expandable ad unit is something that automatically fires when you load the page. This. An expandable ad unit requires user interaction to fire the expanded portion. You'll see though that the panel on this is different than the other panel. The rule that we're going to say to serve this is the pre-expandable is going to automatically fire once per day per unique user. And every other time it's going to, because it's already fired that, it will show the expandable portion. So it will first show the pre-expandable, then show the expandable, and of course if somebody's using a tablet or something that does not support Flash, it will serve a GIF/JPEG. Very important to remember. Click traffic, click placements. I'm going to go ahead and create a new placement, and you'll see that this is running on yahoo.com. When I generate a new placement, you want to fill out the placement name. Buccaneers, February 1st, placement. Select the publisher, and what's populated in this is entered in the campaign, in the scope information. If you don't have anything in this list, then you've got to go back to your Manage Control panel, or sorry, Manage Campaigns list, and then add the publisher to the drop-down list. The size I can leave blank because I'm going to assign it automatically. The start date is probably going to be today, and it's probably going to go through the 1st. And expected impressions, 70,000. This was initially provided to us, so I'm just copying and pasting the information that came through the scope request. When I click Assign, you'll now see that the February 1st components are listed here. So I want to check these 3 boxes to default assign these. It's very important, the nomenclature. Whenever you're working within the AdPortal system, it looks for keywords. _default, _final are 2 very important keywords that tells the system that, hey, oh, this is the default GIF/JPEG, and this is the final component. So if I say OK, you'll see it adds it to the creative list, and it sets up a default rule for me. So the delivery rule says, deliver the following, rotation of 2 creatives, and that otherwise it's going to deliver, a default. This is not correct as it imports automatically, so I want to go ahead and remove this rule because if it did serve a rotation of 2 creatives, it would serve this one and then it would serve that one, and you'll see the percentages even. That's not what we want. We want it frequency capped. So I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to go ahead and create a rule. Rule type, frequency cap. Frequency cap of 1 impression over 1 day for this placement. And the way that it tracks this is it writes a cookie on the user's machine. So the first time it loads, it writes it and says, hey, we already played this, go ahead and just fire off the expandable every single time. If the user purges their cookies, they're going to see the pre-expandable, or if they have cookies blocked, they're going to see the pre-expandable every single time. Their problem, not ours. If you wanted to add something to the delivery rules, you can see what I'm doing here. If I click on the actual position, and then click this little rule right here, this denotes that it's going to be, whatever I click on up here is going to be added to that position. So I can say, for the creative to use before the cap is met, is my pre-expandable. Creative to use after the cap is met is my expandable. So the way that this is set up now is it will fire off once a day before the cap is met. It will play the pre-expandable. After the cap is met, it will play the expandable every single time. So if a user browses to and from a page, they will not continue to get blasted by that hockey puck hitting the screen. That is it. All I got to do is save, And you'll see now that I have this new placement up here. It is not ready and is pending publishing. What we do want to do is change it to change the workflow status to ready for tag, and then wait for it to flip to deliverable. In the meanwhile, what I can do is go ahead and copy the tag over. By copying the tag, if I click that little asset and select everything, copy, jump over to Text Wrangler, paste. What that is, and this is something that you probably want to get used to recognizing if you're going to be working within this realm, this script says, oh hey, look for Flash. If you don't have Flash, serve up the GIF. Essentially all the rules that we just built into the placement tag are listed here so that the browser can properly display the SAD unit. One fun bit, if you wanted to just copy and paste this, you can jump over to a test browser, and I'm going to go ahead and use the W3 Schools website. If you go to the Try It Yourself editor, this gives you a dynamic, essentially sandbox to drop in any kind of script assets that you need. So I'm just going to paste it, submit the code, and then you see that the ad unit actually plays on the page, which is what we want. So now I roll over, and you can close it. Very handy tool for testing any kind of tags that you might have. So if I hit the refresh button here, you'll see that it still says pending publishing, but you can see that it actually does serve, so it should be good to go.